Hello and welcome. I am DEJI360. The issue of local government autonomy has again come to the front burner in recent times. Over the week, the Nigerian Senate accused state governors of misappropriating funds allocated to local government councils now in Nigeria, claiming the council chairmen were usually compelled to sign off checks by governors who in turn allocate peanuts to them. Now, this is actually nothing new. It's a practice that has been common knowledge for a very long time in this country, but strangely, nothing has been done about it. The Senate now wants President Bola Tinubu to immediately stop allocation of funds to caretaker committee-led local government areas. The resolution was a sequel to a motion now sponsored by Sumaila Kawu of the New Nigeria People's Party, representing Kano South during plenary, who lamented the neglect of a local government system in many parts of the country. Take a listen now to what transpired at the Senate and what some of the senators actually said.
Governors right now control the state houses of assembly, so they will never let the state houses of assembly make laws that will remove them from directly supervising how those funds will go. Therefore, in amending the Constitution, we should go back to Section 7, where this local government controlled by governors is, which is on the joint state and local government account, which means that if we control that and put strictures separating the state from having access to those ones, then we solve the problem.
This is not working. And that's why the security situation in the country is compounded. The healthcare delivery system in the country is not working, particularly at the local government level. The educational system, as we all know, particularly primary education, which is supposed to be the responsibility of the local government, they are no longer capable of carrying out these responsibilities because the resources that are coming are being cornered by the government, by the governors.
There are chains of action to be taken. It's not only for us to vote for the autonomy of local governments. We must vote for a body different from a body that be controlled by state governments to conduct local government elections. Otherwise, forget it. We must return local government elections to INEC. Or if you are not returning to INEC, create a body which is independent of state governors in the first place. If you do not that, if you don't follow this chain of actions, and you say you want to have autonomy, even with this proposal we're having, we'll go and do it. But who are those to man or to control those funds? Chairman. Appointed by who? By governors.
Now, in the resolutions raised by the Senate, it urged President Tinubu to champion the cause of full autonomy for local governments. The Senate members also urged the President to convene a national dialogue involving the governors, state legislators, local government officials, civil society organizations, and community leaders, as well as others, to deliberate on full autonomy for local governments in the country. Meanwhile, a former member of the House of Representatives, Sam Onigbo, has called for the transfer of the conduct of local government elections from state electoral commissions to the Independent National Electoral Commission. And of course, that call resonates and actually aligns with the position of the Deputy Senate President you just heard there, that's Senator Jibrin Barra, who actually made the same call as well. Well, joining me on the program to discuss more on this is Omori Aigbe, who is a member of West African Democracy Solidarity Network and Public Affairs Analyst. Mr. Aigbe, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Yes, so this is not the first time we'll be having this kind of debate in the country, but it's quite interesting that this time it's coming from the Senate. And some of the senators who spoke on the floor used to be governors of their state, so that they really understand what the issue is. Well, what's your take on this? Especially the call now for the Independent National Electoral Commission to conduct local government elections.
Okay, thank you. By way of simplicity, let me try to break it down for our audience to have an understanding. We run a federal system of government in Nigeria.
Yes.
Nigeria is a federal state, which means that it has a federal government, it has a state government, it has a local government. by the Constitution by the 1999 Constitution of the Federation. It made local government the true third tier of the country's federalism.
Exactly.
What this means is that the same power that the federal government has to administer federal-wise, there's also the power of the state to administer statewide. The power of the local government to administer local-wide. In this case, while the federal government is okay with his power, nobody usurp on his power. The state government has deliberately, also, of course, nobody usurp on the state government's power. But the state government has deliberately, continually undermined the local government system in this country. Although it is constitutional because of the JAC, which the senator just talked about, the joint allocation of account. That put the local government account under the state. And what usually happens, and I like the philosophy, and that's in fact what the senators are doing now. I have had this position more than 8 years ago. I have always insisted that allowing state government to run local authority elections is not tenable. And people have argued, but that if I support federal system, why am I asking the national, the INEC to conduct local elections? And I've returned it back with the same, with a good answer. If INEC cannot conduct local government elections, why is INEC conducting state elections? We should have a state elections conducting state elections. Then a local election conducting a local electoral system conducting local elections. We should have a national election conducting national election, a state authority conducting state elections, and have a local authority election system conducting local election. In this case, you have a national election authority, which is INEC, as we know, who conduct state and who conduct national and state elections. Whereas you not give power to the state to go and administer local elections. Why can't we allow the federal government to conduct state elections? So let's allow INEC to conduct national election, and let the national government, as the federal government, set up another electoral system that will conduct state election. Let's see if the state government will allow it. What are we talking about? We must allow local system to work. If we must have local administration in this country, Nigeria, INEC should be saddled with the responsibility. We should eradicate, delete totally SIEC in our constitution. State Independent Electoral Commission are not autonomous. They are not independent. They are set up usually ahead of an election. Of course. Usually the state government will tell you they don't have the resources to conduct local election. Meanwhile, INEC have resources to conduct their election. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any gospel sense at all. Let
me quickly ask you this. Sorry to interject. Let me ask you this. Is it possible to have autonomy for local governments without, changing the way local government elections are conducted? Without, for instance, asking INEC to conduct local government elections? What kind of autonomy do you think local governments can actually have if their elections are not independently conducted?
They won't have an autonomy. The same way, the only thing, okay, two things are involved right now. Let's assume you remove one. So the first one is JAC, the resource allocation. That you remove that, that's what the senators are saying. You remove the JAC and have local money go straight to local authority. But if the SEC is the one conducting elections and there is no timeline for election conduct of local authority system, then you are going to have sole administrators as we have today in majority of states. Contrary to that is that where there are no sole administrators at local government level, what you have is that state government run a local government election system to favor their own candidate. That's true. In this country, only one state government made an attempt to conduct a free election at local level. And that was Kaduna State.
Yes, under El-Rufai.
It came up with an electoral system. El-Rufai. It came up with a digital system for voting. In fact, we credited that in 2019. We credited that in 2023 elections. That can we not take a Kaduna model to the national level? But if you remember in that election, as elections were going on, intelligence report was getting to the governor. that you are losing. You are going to literally have your opposition across the local government system in this country, in this state. There was some kind of uber-lahu in the system that resulted in the stoppage of that process. You recall that process was terminated midway, although the election eventually had a number of PDP be elected as local government chair in that state. Check what happened in Kwara State. Check what happened in Kebbi State. Particularly, let me give you an example of Kebbi State. Election took place in the local government areas. Results moved from where the election took place to the SEC office. When result and the ballot boxes got to the SEC office, they were dumped in one room because there was already a prepared result to be announced. But the people of the local government, I think it's the center, the Kebbi South, insisted that their result would be announced. And that result was never announced. We know how we push pressure on INEC. Most people have also said, if we push pressure on INEC and we have made INEC what we now have, that everybody is talking about INEC, that's why INEC has improved. Let's focus on these state elections and improve local system, local SEC. And I've replied them too. We are able to do that in INEC because we have a collective force targeting one institution. You are going to get to a point where we are targeting 36 states. Man, how are you going to do that? How are we going to be able to achieve? Maybe you are going to select state. Maybe you select Lagos in the southwest. You go to north, you select Kaduna. You go to maybe you go to south. Maybe you have a 6 model of state elections. That's not what we want to achieve. If you have to set up a different body, like somebody said, I think it's the Deputy Senate President who said that, is to constitute an independent state electoral commission funded by the federal government purse, administered by the National Assembly, so they do the same job as INEC. But why do you want to waste that kind of resources when INEC already have what we call the State Resident Electoral Commissioner? In Nigerian election, the REC have no job when election is not holding in their state. So usually the REC earn money for a 4-5 year term and conduct maybe 1 or 2 elections in a 5-year term. It's time to put the REC of the state to superintend the local government elections of that state. Why the national INEC, which is the authority in Abuja, supervise the national and the state, even though we know that the REC is still answerable to the national INEC, so that there's a level of credibility and accountability. Yeah. We can do a time limit to say we create a 5-year time to study. If it doesn't work, we can revert. But I'm giving you, by my study of federalism, by my study of elections around the world, particularly whether it's in the US, where I have a lot of experience from election work, or in West Africa, where I have developed huge election experience. If we want to improve elections in Nigeria, particularly making local government authority be independent, you need to have these two. Independent selection of people who end up being officials of the authority, of the local authority, and independent of the resources, because the state government the federal government does not control the resources of the state. The state must not control the resources of local government.
But let me ask you this now. Now, while we still don't have that system in place where INEC conducts local government elections, is it so difficult to, for instance, send local government funds directly to the local government chairman, even though we know that these governors actually appoint them, whether by every means? I mean, whether they're elected or appointed as caretaker committee chairman, we know that the governors have enormous influence over them. But is it difficult to actually transmit their funds directly to them? Why is this difficult to do?
No, it's not difficult. That's what I'm saying. The governors will agree with you. Scrap it. We don't care. But by the time I appoint you, if I'm governor of a particular state and I appoint you, DEJI, as a local authority chair, and you are not playing to my whims and caprices, tomorrow you are out. I will remove you. That's the current status of this country. So you are going to have a high turnover of local government authority chair. Make them independent. Let the local government councillors, because the same way we have National Assembly,
Yeah.
that's the same way we have State Assembly. That's the same way we have councillors.
Councillors, yeah.
Who should dictate the affairs of the local government, including the resource allocation. But as of today, in today's local government authority, the moment the money comes in, not from the federation account, no. The moment it comes in from the state, it is already known where the money is going to.
Going to.
This is for your salary. This is for your PhD. This is for your primary education. This is for your councillors. All right, project to be done. You don't have project to be done. Every project in the state is done by the state government. And it ends there. And if you check, I've done some systematic intervention in trying to understand local authority by going to local authority offices to sit down for a period of 1 month. Many years ago, what we discovered was that the time of resource allocation, the local authority is a beehive. You see events happening, particularly local government that are far away from city centers. Even the ones in city centers, their popularity diminish once the resource control is over. So the moment money comes in, that's when you see the chair of the local authority. That's when you see the vice chair. That's when you see the supervisory councillors. That's when you see the members of the councillors and the legislative arm of the council. They meet in 2 weeks, in fact, a week after the money has been shared. You know, the office become a desolate location. If you take your camera up to the street of Abuja and Lagos anywhere, ask people if they know their local government chairman or local government chairwoman or all the name as it may be called. Ask them if they ever go to their local government to ask for anything. Ask them if they have issues in their road, small security challenge.
But don't you think that is the attitude that needs to change to begin to make local governments work? Because the truth is that, look, people don't show any interest at all in local government elections. Turnout is always low. In fact, in most cases, it just, what happens is no election at all. It's basically left to some people to do. People sometimes, some residents are not even aware local government elections actually take place in their areas.
I agree. I'm telling you, the only way to change that mindset is for people to have trust in the electoral system. As of today, there is no trust in the electoral system. Let me tell you something. In FCT, INEC conduct the area council election.
Yes.
So there is no SEC in Abuja, as it were. So the 6 area council elections are conducted by INEC. In the election of SEC, in the area council election in Abuja, many people went out not knowing there was an election holding, because there is no connection. They still imagine that there is no local government touching their lives. The truth of the matter is, when you have incapacitated the local government system, how can local government function? And to solve many of our development challenges in this country, we need local government authority to work. You know, one of the senators was talking about security. If local system truly works, in that area, if you go elsewhere, I'll give you a good example. Of course, in Ghana here, where they use the model of New York, say something. If a new person enter a neighborhood, somebody somewhere is making a right call to the police that we just settled a new person walking to a neighborhood. He has parked into a particular house. In 24 hours, there's a police person knocking on the door to find out who the person is. If the person is not properly documented, the landlord or the landlady who gave accommodation to that individual has a case to answer. But in our context, you see all manner of this trust system, trust deficit, particularly knowing that the local government is an appendage of the state government. People's attitude, just, okay, local government election, I beg, have you not seen good elite who tell you local government? They say they do local government election for Nigeria. Now governor people, now they want to elect now. I mean, it is not one state, it's all of the states of the federation. It's all of the states. So we are not talking about just one state or two states or in silos. And I gave you one example of Kaduna. And that's not the issue right now in Kaduna. The machines they bought to improve the electoral system is not It's become an obsolete equipment. The truth is this. What the Senate has asked the President of Nigeria to do is the right thing. The presidency must lead it. However, we must also exercise caution so that in developing those laws, the federal government do not unnecessarily usurp on the power of the state and by way of extension usurp on the power of the local authority system. That is something we must guard. And I like the convergence, the proposal to have a convergence of these individuals, whether it's the state government, civil society organization, politicians, have a meeting. It should not happen like we have the national talk. You bring people together and have a national talk. It should be a local incremental system of polity in a way that you get to a position that our system is not working. People have agreed that our federal system is not working. But what people are actually saying is that the local government system is not working.
It is absolutely not working, and there's no doubt about it. I am from a local government area. To be candid, I don't even know who the chairman of my local government area is. And the local government area is, you just don't have government presence at all. The local government chairman is not doing anything. All you keep hearing from the local government chairman is that, look, funds, the governor is not releasing funds. That what the governor does is basically give him money to go and pay salaries, and then that's all. The local government chairman, the local government authority in my own local government area is not doing a single project. And I know it's the same thing across board in this country. And you just can't have that kind of situation. So the question is, why is it difficult for even those in government, for the governors, to actually see that, look, we're shooting ourselves in the foot when we make local government administration unworkable? Because there's just no way you can get development. So the local people, and it's these local people who complain a lot that they are not feeling the presence of government. The question I often ask is, what has someone in a remote local government area, what has that person got to do with the president? So the person, for instance, does not have a good road on their street. The person is talking about the president when it is actually the local government chairman that should be responsible for fixing the road in that street. Why are we not able to understand this, that we are just shooting ourselves in the foot and that we are making development not work in this country by not letting local administrations work?
DEJI, I share your sentiment. 774 local government administration in this country share that sentiment you raised. 774. Maybe arguably, there could be like 10 who may be doing well, so that we don't generalize. Or there are 50 that are doing well. 50 from 774 is still not, it's a far cry. The crisis of the Nigerian state today is because we abandon local authority for too long a time. To reverse this measure will take us years ahead of time. So if we change these laws, for example, ask INEC to conduct elections in local authority, you begin to build the confidence of people. Then people can hold the local government accountable. The way it is now, like you said, you don't even know your local government chair. The question is that how can you hold the one that you don't know accountable? How can you even speak to the one you don't know? And I used to give this example. Mayor Bloomberg was the mayor of New York Borough, the Borough cities in New York. This guy was known by everybody. In fact, you don't need to know the governor who lives far away in Albany. The same way in Nigeria, I put that back to Nigeria, and I queried when former President Buhari went to commission local market stores in Nasarawa State. I raised it, and I said, no, you don't reduce a president of Nigeria to be commissioning market stores. That is how we have reduced our president to become a local government chair.
Okay.
The job of a local government chair now being performed by a president is an aberration. The president's duty is more of an international politics, is more foreign policy, is more taking the country to the highest height. While the state is to develop their state that contribute to the national level, the local authority development contribute to the state. But in this case, where you don't have a local development, you now have a state development, and you are now making the federal government, the president of Nigeria, there's road problem, there's drainage problem. Small drainage problem. I'm not talking about the ecological one. Small drainage problem.
Yes.
People are asking, where is Tinubu? Where is Tinubu? Where is Tinubu? What has Tinubu got to do with your local government? I mean, what Even your state government don't even need to come there. But in this situation today, the president of Nigeria is our local government chairman.
That is it. That's what it is. There's no question about it. That's what it is. And it's unfortunate. Well, we're waiting to see what the president does. If he listens to the Senate and does what the Senate has advised him to do, I believe he knows better. I mean, he's experienced it. And it's actually interesting to see former governors in the Senate pushing for this. I mean, when they were governors, they never gave this a chance. So it's interesting that now that they're on the other side, they're beginning to see reasons why this needs to be done. Thank you very much, Umaru Yaigbe, for coming on the program. Thank you so much for your time.
All right.
And
Thank you so
as
much.
always.
I appreciate it.
Well, that was Umaru Yaigbe, who is a member of the West Africa Democracy Solidarity Network and public affairs analyst. We'll take a short break now and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Don't go away.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
Because when you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.